Peace. What's good, everybody? This is DJ Freed Leonard with the Native Ethos podcast. For those that are just tuning in right now, I would like to welcome you to the pilot episode of my show. And for those that are unfamiliar or may just be tuning in now, I would like to introduce myself. I'm DJ Freed Leonard, community organizer and hip hop artist based out of Oakland, California, in which I've advocated for tribal sovereignty, political prisoners, and socially conscious music in the underground hip hop scene since 2010. And my purpose is quite unique, some have said, as I've had a distinct, clear mission to advocate for my cousin, Leonard Peltier, who's a political prisoner, kind of in the middle right now because he was recently granted clemency, but then put on house arrest. So for over 15 years, I campaigned instead of complained, and I went out there and touched down, met with artists, and we put together songs. And in particular, one of the best songs that we did during this time was this record, Freedom, with Ras Kass, who we have on the show tonight. And it was an amazing record that Tone Jones produced, and it really breaks down the case of Leonard's um, unfortunate, tragedy that he had to endure of being in prison for 49 years. And we're trying to shed light on that issue to raise awareness during a real during the pandemic, which was a crazy time in the world. And we got together and did a record. And uh, today's show is quite special because it lands on National Day of Mourning, which is not really known on the mainstream in regards to being the indigenous perspective to see the Thanksgiving holiday. So,
Mhm.
along with raising awareness for Leonard Peltier and political prisoners, the back end of that is indigenous society, indigenous culture, uh, and how that intertwines with activism, protesting, raising awareness, campaigning. And so that's an accumulation of what I have going on. And if you're still with us at this point, and this sounds like some stuff that you like to hear about, I definitely would tune in closely and really hear us out and what we have to say, because it's quite contrary to what else you're going to see on YouTube and social media. So yeah, let's get right into it. So hey, what's up, Ras Kass? Thanks for joining me this morning.
What's up, DJ Free Leonard? How are you, man?
Doing great, bro. I appreciate for having you on tonight, my pilot episode of the Native Ethos
Congrats.
podcast. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Um,
Uh,
uh, for the ones who will really know hip hop, I would have to say that the first time the the question of Thanksgiving was challenged in hip hop was by Ras Kass on his song "The Nature of the Threat." And would you like to go into that, like as far as like just what you were feeling when you wrote that, and what that really means to you?
I was trying to do my own linear timeline. I was just trying to figure out why the world was what it was, you know,
Yes.
as I lived in it. So it's really just, I started studying, like I got fascinated. I like history. Why,
Yeah.
Latin is the root language of, you know, French and
Yeah.
Italian, but what was the language before that, and those types
Wow.
of things. Um, uh, you know, why there are pyramids, in North America and in Africa, and what why I'm not told that the oldest pyramids are not in Egypt. Whatever. Just
Yeah,
fascinated. Why is the table called a table in English?
exactly.
You know,
And that challenges the academic standard in which in this society we're educated through a one perspective, linear fashion of basically not only the history of the world, because if you go to other countries, they learn about the world's history, but here we only learn about our made up history,
right,
which only dates back 500 years. But it's very clear in any other field of information that time goes way back further than that.
right,
And what is so revolutionary about the that song and the direction you're headed in was that is it's not just as easy as being aware of this context that we just brought up, but it's actually that anthropologists in the education system only teach in indigenous culture society up to the 1900s.
right,
So there's this big gap in time on modern day um, studies and dialogue in which people think, oh, well, academic people are going to figure it out, but just by the nature of their work, they're not there are laws in place and there's a standard in place that doesn't even allow this discussion to happen in schools.
right.
So that was the biggest thing that really struck a nerve with me is that it's not even being had in schools. I feel I know a lot of people know about this stuff, but then why isn't there anything about it in hip hop? So then the artists that I heard like yourself that made references to these type of issues, I really attached myself to and started to model myself after as far as the artist I could one day be, as far
Mhm.
as like how do we bring this perspective and challenge the academic standard that's making sure that this is not the conversations the masses are having during this time of year. So I salute you and commend you on pioneering that effort.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to talk about the record that we did, Freedom.
Yeah.
I reached out to a lot of artists about trying to get a record specifically done for Leonard and to raise awareness. And I would just want to ask you, like, how do you feel since Leonard was granted clemency, and what's your whole take on what's going on? Yeah,
I you know, you take the small wins.
yeah,
It's not total, you know, total freedom,
yeah.
for lack of a better word. It is an improvement. So you try to I guess ultimately, uh, I've never spoken to 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 the soldier, to the man, but I would assume it's better than what it was. But obviously, people, what you would want is, like we all want, dignity, the ability to do what we want to do, how we want to do it, as long as we're not hurting
Yes,
nobody else. So,
yes.
that is the ultimate goal. But you take the small little victory. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Hopefully you were instrumental in getting that awareness up. I'm sure you were,
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah,
and finally accomplishing some modicum of improvement. It's not full success. It's not the what is it? You may lose a battle, but the goal is to win the war.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
a small battle that was won, um, and hopefully, the end game is to win the war.
Definitely. I want to commend you too on your international work that you've taken hip hop all across the world, and in the movement we call it international solidarity. So I know I kind of had a sense that the audience that your music speaks to would resonate with the song "Freedom" we did, and internationally there being a lot of awareness for Leonard and indigenous, and what our discussion is about, indigenous society. It seems
Hmm.
like internationally there's a lot of support. Have you seen that when you're traveling
Yeah.
around?
I it, it really sometimes I
Yeah,
shouldn't be surprised, but
yeah,
sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised that It's not really an age bracket. It's definitely
Yeah.
not racial.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, we get in our boxes and get tribal, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word, and we think
Yes.
that our struggle, although they're very unique and very specific to us, that
Yes.
lots of people have experienced it. And it's, you know, I think sometimes, you know, traveling, you know, you realize that, you know, you know, these people have been, you know, traumatized by other people, and that there's a commonality that we can come together and say, I don't want anybody to be traumatized or abused
Exactly. Yes.
or their wealth stolen or their lives taken or physically raped and abused or mentally abused or financially abused, or, you know,
Yes.
there's so many types of tactics that can be used. And so, you know,
Definitely.
it's
Yeah.
sometimes, pardon me, it's sometimes surprising, and like I said, it's pleasantly surprising, but I shouldn't be surprised that, you know, there's people in Europe, man, it's people, you know, there's people in Japan, it's people in, you know, South Africa, all the way to, you know, Israel, to, you know, whatever. It's people that care about people, because
Yes.
ultimately wrong is wrong and right is right.
Yes. That's what I've
Ultimately.
experienced as well, talking to international communities and yeah, that it takes effort to go out and to find that out for yourself. So,
Hmm.
you know, a lot of people have never even left the states, and
Yeah. Or left their state. You
yeah,
know, some people have never even
yeah,
left their state where they live. So, you know, it's,
yeah,
and they say, you know, they say travel is a really great teacher, you know, because once
definitely.
you get out there and see for yourself, it's kind of, you know, uh, you can reach some conclusions as opposed to some book or some person telling you. That's secondhand information. The best information is tangible, what you've learned, what you've seen.
Right on. Well, right now we're about to take a break and check out the Freedom lyric video. The
Hmm.
song's by Ras Kass and myself, DJ Free Leonard, and this song actually was promoted by rest in peace DJ K Slay,
Hmm.
who aired this
Rest in peace.
song, yes, indeed, on a Shade 45 radio, and unfortunately, tragically, he passed away during the pandemic, right around the time that we were both invited to go on air and to talk about the Freedom record, because DJ K Slay felt like it was a hit record. And I know the promotions that we were doing, the people were really feeling the record, and the production's great. And I feel like
Yes.
you did such a great summation overall on the just the case that I've never, of all the hundreds of artists I work with, nobody brought it like that as far as helping get the message across specifically about what we're doing. So yeah, right now we're gonna check out the Freedom lyric video and be right back.
Yo, Koglagla, Lakota, mass murder in South Dakota, white militia at Pine Ridge ran 61 Native Americans dead. Nobody cared about the people protesting. Another broken deal, another broken treaty, another land steal. So energy companies keep their hands filled. Break resources, chanting drill, baby drill. Crackbook resource, they kill, baby kill. Who's the hero when the villain's the Navy SEAL? Took a man to take a stand and take aim. American Indian movement defended his rights in 75. Citizens shouted out with the FBI. 2 officers died, prosecution lied. Sentenced to life, even Barack Obama denied. Appeals for clemency, beaten in prison and mistreated. Parole hearing in July 2024, he be 79. Stand with an innocent man, rally and cry, say free Leonard. Free Leonard! Can't unite when all is hate and divide. Religious symbols spelling coexist. When you see a brother, let me see you pump your fists and scream.
Damn, Ras Kass, that was one hell of a summation. proclamation. As I observe some ravens, it occurs to me how my mom was born on a reservation, originally a place of incarceration, not a palace or tourist destination. At the intersection of personal memories and social history, distracted by a pop culture mentality, attractive actresses or current events, but I need rapid ways to curate rent. They said to me your cause is outrageous, fortunately fighting for unjust laws contagious. Some try for extortion and freeloading, while the real want exoneration, so Leonard free. While racism still is the reason, Leonard in prison. Don't be prejudiced, be quick to test the fundamentalist. No matter how it sounds, the truth is always profound. These days it's assimilation via assimilation, sure to give you a stimulation and the elimination of your traditional metaphysical thoughts. Cause remember, Leonard came through for the poor and oppressed, to address the civil unrest. Most will never guess, even the prosecutor of his trial asked for a pardon him from jail. Don't overlook the subjectiveness, when the system is the real symptom. The real symptom, the system, the system.
Freedom! Freedom!
Right on. That was the Freedom lyric video. This is the Native Ethos podcast with DJ Freed Leonard. Today we have Ras Kass on the show, and so far we've been talking about indigenous society, indigenous culture, international solidarity, and the case of Leonard Peltier, who's my first cousin by blood. And I'm also the son of Carol Robidoux, who's a survivor of the MMIW movement. That's a missing and murdered indigenous women movement that is really picked up over the years. And I know when I first reached out to Ras Kass, back to do the song 5-6 years ago, I had mentioned that, and just wanted to let the people know that we are showing solidarity on many different levels. As I actually first met Ras Kass at the paid dues concert, in which I was there with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., and we were filming the Free Leonard, Free 'Em All documentary in 2011. And Ras Kass appears in that documentary. You can watch on YouTube. And Chairman Fred and Raz had did a solidarity statement, and that was the first time. And then we had did a second one at I think it was the last Rock the Bells that there was of the original version of Rock the Bells.
Right.
And then there was a follow-up solidarity statement. But that second documentary never came out. But those were the first interactions and times, when the campaign was able to reach Ras Kass. And just wanted to provide some context for the audience and let them know, there is an alternative to what you're seeing on the mainstream. It's not all about gossip. It's not all about rumors. It's not all about being antagonistic towards your community and towards this self-destruction. But it's there's actually artists trying to uplift each other. And even though we don't have the biggest budgets to do things, we are still trying and to inspire other people to get on the mic too, and to put that awkwardness aside and just really speak to the people and let the people decide and sort out who's the best and who they feel is the most authentic. And so my next question for Ras Kass is, what do you think people could do to start understanding or getting involved in the community that would help bring more just overall like engagement and overall kind of just to make the world a better place? What are things you think people could do that are practical? Like, I know hip hop is one thing, and
that's a good question. I don't know if I have that specific answer. It made me think of a Chili Pepper song, "Come As You Are."
Nice.
Honestly, it really did. I was just like, well, I guess you got to start where you are, and
Yes.
everybody's calling or path is going to be different. That's, it takes all kinds. So, whatever some people cook, some people grow,
Yes,
some people
yes.
paint, some people
Yes.
finance, some people speak, whatever that
Yes.
is. Some people run, some people hunger strike, some people, some people
Yes.
do a lot of them,
That's
Um,
facts.
I think, ultimately it's just figuring out, I've never done like political campaign. Some people do the calling thing for, like Mom
Yes.
Dami in New York, he born, and
Hmm.
there's people all around the country that would
Yes.
call banks, is I guess what they call them. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, whatever. Some people are lawyers. I can keep going, but I
Yeah.
think ultimately it's figuring out what you're willing to contribute, what you can contribute. I guess ultimately what you can and what you're willing to. They both
Yes.
go hand in hand, and everybody's an individual. So I can only, my hope is to inspire people to want to contribute. That
Right on.
we try to remember the humanity of each individual, that is not governed by any country's laws. Laws are
Yes.
flawed. Laws are
Yes.
man-made. There's a natural law,
Yes.
of what separates us from the animals, and then in general, even
Yes.
animals don't just run around and kill each other, because then they
Yes.
destroy their resources.
Yeah. And they
You
don't
know.
have revenge either over if one of their animal family members were killed. They don't have resentment and want to get revenge over that other animal.
Yeah, so it's just trying to remember that we should be on a higher frequency,
Yeah.
and have some humanity, see the humanity in I think part of the tactic. This is not new. This is not 500 years old. It's negating people's humanity so you can validate stealing land or
Yeah.
murdering or stealing wealth or starving people, or they tend to and you can mute that word because that can get the algorithm hates that word, so I'll call it
Okay.
graping,
Hmm.
all the negative things you can do. um uh, it's a lack of humanity, because it's very hard to look in the mirror and know you did that to somebody, that's somebody's child too, that's a person too, that bleeds the same blood as you. So I think a big part of it is remembering our humanity,
Yeah. And
our shared humanity.
that goes into the the issue of, which is the big issue in Leonard's case, and was the judicial system, and how retribution, and how the cycle of punishment and then humiliation keeps over 50% of people that go to prison, keeps them gets them back into prison, because
Recidivism is what they call it.
recidivism, exactly. And the US is the biggest, most prisoners in the world are here. And
Yeah.
so I'm working on a program that's helping rehabilitation through music songwriting mentorship for formerly incarcerated people. And it's interesting when I bring up the program to people and I say formerly incarcerated, instead of how most
Right.
people
Society
people would
terms
say,
it.
society would say criminals, right? So,
Right.
and people are very supportive of formerly incarcerated. But then if even if I'm with an interview with like a volunteer or someone helping, and I say criminal, then it's a whole different thing of on supporting.
There's power in words. Power.
Exactly. Yeah. So we go back. Yeah.
The connotation implies almost that the person was born that way.
Hmm.
Calling somebody a criminal, it denotes
Yes.
some character flaw,
Exactly.
ultimately, like a natural character flaw.
Because
Um,
yeah, nobody has kids and says, this is what I want
right,
our
right.
baby to
The
grow up and
child's
happen one
not
day.
2 years old talking about,
Yeah.
saying I feel like I'm gonna rob this bank as soon as I can walk. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's intentional. The loaded language is what that's called, and so there are loaded terms. Period. Illegal alien. All these
Hmm.
things. Alien is already, you're alienating. They are the other.
Yeah.
A savage is what the Europeans used to justify godless savages.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. So you get
you understand what I'm saying? Those
semantics and
connotations,
semantics, and then
right,
yeah,
allowed them to
theology too.
mentally rationalize, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not like I'm doing it to that lady or that little kid or that
hmm
male, that man. That this is not. It's the other, and that's
Yeah.
we're in a high time of that, which again just goes back into you know using your words, understanding loaded language, and understanding that we're in a time where we're almost Orwellian, where true is fake. Like the guy that created fake news is the fake news.
Yeah.
We're in a very deadly time because there's at least 40% of this population that, for one reason or another, um, ascribes to that, whether it appealed to fear, jealousy, all those things are hatred. They lead to hatred, greed. All those
Yeah.
things turn into hatred because to be super greedy, you gotta weaponize yourself to say, "Hey, I want your sweatshirt, I want your hat, I
hmm
want wherever you're living." And then
hmm
most people like to go to sleep at night and not look in the mirror and think they're awful. I always say that,
hmm
you know,
Yeah.
a lot of interviews that they, those, you know, PD people, they tend to rationalize why with that little child. There's a,
hmm
that's the awful part of the amazing awfulness of the human ability to rationalize really awful things.
Yeah.
And we got to get past that, and we need to point it out.
Yeah. It's really biological. The like it's catastrophe. Like the just the nature of the threat. Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
exactly that, and then it's rooted in semantics, language, and even if you notice, if you start comparing different languages to uh, this society, is the use of pronouns, the assumption of what a word means without context, and the justice system comes in and obviously nothing could have 100% accuracy to where there's so many other political prisoners that nobody ever hears about, and we hear about cases all the time where there's official misconduct in the cases, and
hmm
there's like Leonard's case where the trials are completely corrupt,
exactly.
I think the thing is with it's like it's multi-layered, and so I was also trying to get into the whole mass incarceration and prison industrial complex, which is, a very tragic, unfortunate thing going on with how many people are being imprisoned. And, I feel like the work we were doing ties into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't also shout out. There's so many people doing great work, even in Oakland.
Yeah.
Artivist Cadre, in NorCal. Artivist Cadre, he does prison reform too. My brother, Minister King. So it's, people, because he was formerly incarcerated, and his whole thing is you know you know uh, uh, ending prison slavery because it is legal.
Yes.
Slavery is legal in California and many other states. Um, because we lose, I'm formerly incarcerated, so you're not you. They revoke your citizenship and you become what they call a ward of the state, which is a nice
Yes.
word for slave. Like you don't have
Yeah.
the same rights, and to force people to whatever it is. I don't care if it's making a T-shirt or or whatever, or we'll give you
hmm
more time, or we'll max you out was what it was, or we'll create conditions where the torture thing, putting people in and solitary confinement for years and years at a time. Those are all tactics of mental abuse. There's
Yeah.
physical abuse. There's I haven't done the research to know exact numbers, but apparently we're, um, privatization of prisons. They're building more prisons, and so it's under this new regime, and so somebody's got to fill them.
Yeah.
See, that's the big problem. So if you have a company in supply and demand, so in
Yeah.
any business, so if I can't make a whole bunch of these beanies if I can't have somebody wear them. And
Yeah.
so if and let's just say that's the beanie that your state issue jacket and your beanie in prison. I need to sell them, and I need somebody to wear them. And so that is the incentive becomes the wrong thing. It's not somebody made a mistake. Here's your time. And it becomes I need to find somebody to put on these prison blues, and that tends to run towards who you think is least human, who you would prefer sitting in those places so you can make money, and that tends to not be. Well, I mean, I won't say who it tends not to be. It tends to be lower income. It tends to be, the so-called people of color. So whether that's Native American, whether that's Latino, whether that's so-called Black, or a combination thereof. And therein lies where you get the war on drugs or the war on crime. They're just
Yeah.
terms used to figure out how to penalize and demonize a specific set of people. And prison reform, you know, we know this. We have, I think, half or a third of the population in China, and they don't jail as many people. Like
Wow.
America's job is to put people in prison, keep people in poverty. They've strained the middle class, and so that 0.01% of the population really are, which are robber barons. They're robber barons. Their percentage is crazy. I think they own like 60% of the wealth. That's what people do know.
Yeah. The social economic.
So
Yeah.
how about what
Yeah.
you don't know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that these all these things are interconnected, right? And so the indigenous worldview, which spreads all around the world, places like Ghana, Jamaica, all around there are people with an indigenous worldview. If we just get our passport and go there and talk to people, but what I like to say is that that it's so interconnected, just like the native ethos is the interconnectedness between all of us, and literally like between these we've talked about the way how these things are literally all intertwined with each other, that it's such a phenomenon that it's really not a linear thing going on. Is
Multi-pronged.
Yeah.
It's the tentacles of I forgot what. There's the three-headed serpent, and you cut the head off, and it would grow another one back or two or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I think what we end up doing is dealing with, and which is what they call shock and awe. That is
Uh-huh.
part of the strategy, is to hit you with so many, because it's economic, it's financial, it's educational. You're
Yeah.
misinforming people, and then
Yeah.
you don't, and then you redline them, and then they can't live here, or
Yeah.
you break every treaty and you put people here, and then you say, well, I'm gonna poison your water supply because you got some resources over there too. So all those things, like, we're really still only just talking about the symptom. Most people refuse to really deal with the disease. So, housing is related to education, which is related to finances, which is related to health, which is related to diet, which is related
Yes.
to mental health.
It's all yeah. Yeah. And
All
then
those things,
you have yeah.
So
Then the cure, basically put, like they go around and say, hey, that's the disease and we're the cure.
right. Right.
So yeah.
To create the problem, order through chaos. Let me
Yeah, it
create the
is.
problem so
Yeah.
that I can solve it for you.
Yeah.
I alone can solve it.
Yeah.
That's
And then
literally the quote.
something with I'm 8 years sober. So
Mm.
I've had to do my thing with mental health.
Yeah.
And that the big thing in mental health is whether whether the treatment is or like whether it's I figured this out is the cause or the no the cause or effect, the symptom or the side effect. Like is what is actually causing the symptom and what is actually a side effect from
Right.
something else. And a lot of times that's the context of, prescriptions and doctors just handing out prescriptions. They're not looking at the predisposition
They're
of
treating
what's going on.
they're treating the symptom. They're not
Yeah.
they're not, which is another,
When there's side
again,
effects to other stuff
right,
going on.
which creates other side effects. It's
Yeah.
and the unfortunate part is that many are aware of that, but that's what happened with the. And this is not my opinion. This was proven in won lawsuits about,
Yes.
the opiates, that they understood what was going to happen. That, fentanyl and these creations, they created
Yeah.
this stuff. They created it so they
Yeah.
could make synthetic cocaine because
Yeah.
it's cheaper. I could make the cheaper one that kills you quicker and makes you more addictive. But that's legal. It's called you know, uh, what is it? The DA, no, alcohol, drugs, and whatever. That regulates. It's
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, these are
The
drugs.
FDA. The
Yeah,
FDA.
FDA. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So it's again, we're constantly trying to it's almost like shooting a canoe with a shotgun because it's pellets. So you like constantly putting these holes. You stick in your finger and you start running out of digits. You
Hmm.
only got 10 toes and 10 fingers, and maybe you put your ear here, but people keep shooting the gun. So we keep getting all these symptoms because
Yeah.
we won't treat the disease. Or, that's a, you know,
That's a big, yeah.
there should be help, but we know this stuff. Unfortunately, some people don't. But the people that create these circumstances,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
understand that there's going to be a long term effect to something that's even more addictive than the heroin or
Hmm.
than the cocaine. They understood that, but they knew they could sell it legally. So there's a systematic, what's the word I want to use the right word. Um, they're not being, uh, I can't find the term that I'm looking for, but we live in a system that understands what it's doing, and then they're not being intellectually honest. That's the word I was looking for. So
Yes.
we're not having intellectually honest conversations with these politicians, or with the
Yes.
educational system, or with
Yes.
with law enforcement. They're not being
Yes.
intellectually honest. So it's almost like you're not really. It's almost sometimes pointless to have the conversation, and it's always kind of up to the people to build your own or something, because some of this within the system was designed to keep it the way it is. There are some that just say, hey man, it was a lemon from the beginning. Maybe we just start with a new constitution and a new,
Yeah.
because it was designed, the saying is the more perfect union. But then they repeal the things that are supposed to protect the people they initially, that we haven't addressed the 400 or however many, 400 plus, I believe, treaties that were broken. Because
Exactly. Yeah.
part, you can't gloss over literally that much death, that much murder. I mean, keep trying to, you know, uh,
Yeah.
you know, um, the continual miseducation, the continual abuse, and again, that goes to so-called people of color, whether they are the Mexicano, whether they are those we're indigenous Africans. I don't like to argue with some Native Americans. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
controversial. Yeah.
Right. So
People like to argue over that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but some of the Spaniards got here and saw niggas and wrote about it. So whatever. I don't want to argue with people about that, because again, which becomes just even a, you know, it just becomes less of what the point is.
Yeah, it,
You
it
know,
does, right? We keep reducing and marginalizing
right,
what exactly what we actually, came
right,
together for. And now
right,
we're
right,
now the two completely
right,
opposite protests are doing a protest at the same place. and
right.
and so we're
And instead
reduced
of
and
finding
marginalized, and
the
once again that goes
community,
back to
it becomes the specifics of what I think I was taught and how I think I know it, as opposed to whatever. So
yeah, and then that bias, yeah,
my bigger thing is when when we're abused and stolen from, they're not doing it because of those reasons. So ultimately,
yeah,
it's a debate that shouldn't undermine the bigger point. I tell that to, I used to always say that to my Mexican friends, and some people would say like, well, my family's from this part of Mexico, and that's why we have like lighter skin and green eyes. And I said, yeah, but when they shoot you, or when the KKK kills you, they don't care about the your mom from Spain. They killed that Mexican guy. Unfortunately, you
yeah.
can't like phase out and become the European part of you. You know what I'm saying?
A different
They just want to
personality,
kill the
yeah,
entire
yeah,
thing. So all of that is fine and well to you culturally or your
yes,
history as your family, but that's not what's important here. So
hmm
they don't care how your family's from Spain partially. They care about the
yeah,
part that they don't like. I don't care how green eyed you are and how light your skin is.
yeah,
When they get to killing us, and they do, they kill the part that they don't like, because
yeah,
none of the rest of it matters. And when they want your
yeah,
land, or when when they want to exploit, or when they say hurtful things, they don't care about, what I'm saying, about your
yeah,
Spanish part, or your, or
uh-huh,
they care about the part that they hate. And so I think we need to keep our eye on what the goal is here. And again, I don't have all the answers, but I think one of the biggest things is understanding that the system is a greater person than me. Frances Cress Welsing wrote the ISIS papers, and she kind of broke it down. I quoted in Nature the
okay,
Threat, and she talks about religion, science, politics, economics, entertainment, and some other things. She
wow,
was a science.
wow,
She was a doctor and a scientist. So she
yeah,
studied this in like the '60s, and just a black
yeah,
woman. And
yeah,
she that's what she was trying to, she was trying to get us to understand. I think it's a blackball book now. I think the Trump administration, their term for anything that has anything to do with caring about anybody, the new term. So words change. Woke just means
yeah,
basically anything that's not white. So if you
hmm
care about women's rights, you're being woke. If you care about Native Americans, you're just woke. But
wow,
it really just means, and I mean it means nigger. That's what woke means. Nigger stuff.
wow, I didn't know that,
Yeah, that's what woke
wow,
means. So when Fox News and these people and the Charlie Kirks and all of them, when they're talking woke, it's just their new mask to say, if it ain't about white supremacy, it's some nigger shit. We don't care about these Mexicans. We don't care about these Native Americans. We don't care about these women. If you're not white men supremacy driven, it's basically nigger shit.
wow,
And that's why they don't want it. It's all at woke. It's so woke and woke. We don't care. We hate woke.
hmm
Because, if I have a supremacy hang up, if I happen to think I'm the master race and I'm supreme, I don't really want you questioning that.
hmm
If I'm winning, and I enjoy the perks of the abuse, I don't like you trying to tell me that I'm mistreating you. You think
yeah,
the Native Americans, it was either go to war, you know, uh, walk the trail of tears and suffer and hope they'll
yeah,
give up and
yeah,
leave you alone. But you really think that trying to go talk to them ever changed anything? They knew what they were doing.
with broken treaties,
Yeah,
Yeah,
after Treaty 250, y'all knew what the fuck was going on.
yeah, yeah, and also too conflict, because a lot of people would say, well, the tribes fought amongst themselves, but then the tribes had a whole different ethic about how to battle amongst each other. Tribes actually prayed together at the end of the day after the battle, and they also some tribes actually just played sports like lacrosse to settle the difference. And at the end of the day, the tribes were matriarchy, so the women wouldn't just be so
Right.
reactionary to start fighting, and they wouldn't really be out to, like, women have a whole different, feminine, a
Yeah.
divine feminine way to kind of like to kind of just put things
Mitigate
out there and talk things, like,
disputes.
like
Yeah.
not even a lot, not all men are talking like we talking, like just with an open mind to understanding to hear each other out. And I really appreciate having you on my pilot episode of my show. And I think it's great because I learned there's if you don't know somebody or have exposure to any of these topics or issues, then it doesn't. I mean, I don't really think there's any such thing as ignorance. I think it's just lack of being aware, or lack of being understanding to somebody really, like, just explain to you, like you did to me on several things tonight, this morning, about issues that I just wasn't aware of in the 90s. I just wasn't aware of, like, this phenomenon, like this groundbreaking phenomenal record you did, Nature of the Threat. Like, I never heard that anywhere else, and I think the same thing applies to the Freedom record. So
Absolutely.
yeah, right on, man. So it was great to have you, and I look forward to man performing with you one day, and we'll bring it to the people live and direct.
Awesome. And yeah, I just want to, thank you. You know what I'm saying? That
Thank you, appreciate it.
everybody go check out the song and support it, and
Yeah,
tell a friend. Tell a friend about
yeah,
Freedom, man.
yeah,
Really, the production is A1, top notch.
yeah,
Really great song. I thought it came out
yeah.
amazing. So yeah, man,
That was
congrats to
fun.
you. Congrats on
Yeah,
sobriety.
thank you.
That you're in a better place, and you know I'm here, brother. So I wish you the
Right
best,
on,
and thanks for taking the time.
right on, Ras Kass.
All right,
All right,
peace,
brother.
peace.
Peace. Oh, hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going?
I didn't know you were in the room. I wasn't looking. How long you been there for?
Like 45 minutes, more or less.
Oh, okay. Well, everybody, this is Jose, and is a comrade from Southern California that we have on the show. But I didn't really realize he was in the chat in the room yet. So hyper focused on the dialogue with Ras Kass. Yeah, just do you want to do a solidarity shout out, or let the people know about any campaigns you got going on?
Most definitely. So yeah, Jose Gutierrez, aka March 4th,
Yes,
representing critical resistance. So I would definitely want to shout out first and foremost all my brothers and sisters, comrades and in the struggle with critical resistance.
nice.
Everyone affiliated with the work that we do. Man, I think right next after that, I want to shout out AIM Southern California, uh,
Right on.
who have been, I mean, hand in hand with a lot of the work that we're doing. And, I just see all the time at different actions here in LA. And then the hip hop community, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most definitely, everyone that's been supportive. Tumex, I guess, would be the next person because what we did is a couple months ago we had a fundraiser for all the work that we're doing on the ground as far as the raids and deportations. And so Tumex volunteered his time to come and put it down, you know what I mean? So it was him rapping along with myself March 4th, and yeah, just all the folks, all our family that are hip hop fanatics out here that are um spreading the word about the work that we're doing and supporting us. So I want to definitely give those shout outs.
Right on. Yeah. Much respect, bro. I appreciate the work you're doing. I know you're not just singing it, but you're bringing it. And
Yeah, there you go.
as Chairman Fred says, and definitely thank you for your support. And um, just let the people know we're working on a new record right now, and we're called the Prison Abolitionist, and we're going to do a deep dive into the prison industrial complex and trying to bring awareness around mass incarceration. And as Angela Davis has a famous book called "Why Are Prisons Obsolete?" And so I'm actually using some of that as reference for what I'm going to be talking about on the record. And it's great to be in solidarity. We met in South Central and at a community center. And I remember when I got there, I think, I don't know exactly, but I was super nervous. And people were so welcoming and showing support and love for the campaign that we were working on and to free all political prisoners. And I appreciate you for welcoming me to the community and not only that, but keeping in touch with me and and really having a real solidarity because that was probably man, it been like 8 years ago now. So
Most definitely.
and shout out to Tumex too because Tumex was one of the first artists to contribute a verse to anything that I did in around 2008, and so there's that connection too. And then also too, I just wanted to end the show with having you just speak on just your whole. I know you've been doing the sweat lodge, and for those
Oh,
people that don't know, that's a sacred ceremony, and you don't really hear about it at all. Certain things we're just not hearing about
mm.
anymore, right? And one thing is the sweat lodge. Like, what can you just provide the audience with a little bit of information on what the sweat lodge is and why it helps you so much and helps the people so much?
Yeah, most definitely. I want to go back to what you just said because there's something that I was just learning about that ties back, and then it kind of ties into the Soy Lodge piece. But you said you were kind of nervous when you visited South Central, right?
Yeah.
And I basically was having a conversation around that if someone brings their authentic and real selves into any space at
Yes.
any place in this planet in this world on Turtle Island, then you will be received in a good way, right? So if
Wow.
you come in a good way, then you will be received in a good way. And so,
Yeah.
I didn't know about Sweat Lodge 10 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't know about Inipi Temazcal 10 years ago.
Yes.
And 10 years ago, I was also, in my addiction, right? I was drinking,
Yes.
and I just thought that was the normal thing to do, right? And so, a lot happened since then, but I actually gotta give another shout out just because of this specific topic. My brother, rest in
Yes.
peace, Comandante Mayalenka, who he, is the one who introduced me to Sweat Lodge, who told me about the traditional ways, indigenous ways, about how we're all going back to the conversation with Ras Kass, how we're all connected.
Yes.
No matter if you're Mexican, if you're, got blue eyes, blonde hair, if
Yes.
you're black or Caribbean, like there's a connection between all of us.
Yes.
And so yeah, I started, wanting to learn more about my specific tribe, the Lencas in what is now called El Salvador, on Eastern El Salvador, but then also learning more about Native Americans here in Southern California, which,
Yes.
all my Native brothers and sisters, I knew there were tribes around here that were active and whatnot. I just didn't know where they were. And little did I
Yes.
they were right next door, right? So I got invited to Sweat Lodge and I started learning about these ways, got embraced, by the Lakota elders, who
Wow.
were running the lodge and sharing all of these amazing teachings. We already spoke about it with Ras Kass about the natural law, right?
Yes.
About community, about family, the red road, the four
Yeah.
directions, the medicine wheel, all of those things. All of that good medicine that we have incorporated throughout centuries pre Spanish colonization, pre anything before this United States was created. And so I just found it, for me, Soy Lodge was a very healing thing because I found a few different things that were beneficial.
Yes.
One, my cultural connection, right?
Yes.
Another, would be my spiritual connection with Creator, with
Yes.
the one that gives me strength, the one that created me and everything around us, right? That maintains us and our well-being on this planet. And then the last part is my mental health, right?
Yes.
My inner healing. Swelach for me was a way to express what was happening, all the trauma that I had gone through, and the things I was going through in the moment with my relationships that I had in my life. And I was able to express those things in the lodge, in the conversations that I had with people. One of the things that I really loved is that,
Yes.
I was raised in the Catholic Church, right? And
Okay.
I respect that. I just don't practice that. But
Yes.
one of the things that, well, a couple things that I loved was, there were people that, came just like Ras Kass said, as they were. And a lot of times
Yes.
people came tired, people came, stressed out,
Yeah.
anxious, depressed, upset. And that's how we show up to Lodge.
Yeah.
Because we know this is a good place. We know we can connect with others. So I didn't really get that in the Catholic Church. I felt like it was always you had to show up nice dressed in your suit, with a smile on your face and
Yeah.
everything's okay. And I said, wow, I like that. People here just come as they are their true authentic selves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be great, but we're here for each other. We have each other's back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that kept me coming back. And so in that space, I was able to express afterwards. Another thing that I noticed is that we sometimes have share a meal, right? We'd go and, if it was, some tacos or, I remember there was a person cutting up fruit on the corner of where we had the lodge. So we would drive up and, get some fruit and start talking and joking around. So it was something that again, it just felt more, I felt more at peace. I felt like my true self when I
Balance.
go.
Yeah.
And
That's
just
the big
like,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's very important because it creates, a space where people feel comfortable and it attracts people and it kept me coming back, like I said, because every time I haven't been to lodge in a month or two, I start thinking about my brothers and sisters there, and I'm like,
Yes.
you know what? I need to interact with them because they're family. That's family that I'm gonna have no matter what. If I'm away for a while, I think about them, I pray for them. I know they're praying for me.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm there in lodge, I'm saying, hey, prayers for all the people that couldn't be here today. We've got a seat, an empty seat here for you.
Right
You know
on.
what I
I want to
mean?
add on that. I want to add on that is that's essential is the five ways to restore balance in the from indigenous worldview, native ethos is one within ourselves, restoring balance within ourselves.
Yes.
Two, restoring balance within our families. Restoring balance within our communities, restoring balance within our extended communities, such as spirituality. And then number five, restoring balance within the universe. And it's a trip because I was
Yes.
listening to what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I think you hit right on those different variations of how do you exactly restore balance. And you said it's Ras Kass said it too, was the natural order of things, right? It's actually like have been called the natural democracy. Like naturally, how does the relationship, the interconnectedness play between the sun, the moon, the stars, all the animals, even the species that
Exactly.
aren't around anymore?
Yeah.
How is all this on sync? So
Mm-hmm.
and it's so obvious that everything is in sync on this
Mm-hmm.
planet and universe and is
Mm-hmm.
in balance. But
Mm-hmm.
if you listen to the average person, they're telling you it's not they're not even addressing who created these who created these stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like and indigenous in a lot of indigenous tribes, there's no actual word for creator because something had to create the creator. And
Yeah.
so and it's called the great mystery. The Sioux referred to it as the unknown, the great mysterious,
Great spirit. Yeah.
the great spirit, and the great mystery being the Lakota were saying the great mystery because it's unknown what's going on
Um,
other stars, galaxies, planets, dimensions, entities, spirits. It's unknown. So the more we try to, especially use these words that we were taught to like articulate something that at the end of the day it just goes back to we don't really know, but what we do know is everything is in sync and everything is in balance. So